Oh, good morning, everyone. On today's video, we're going to show you how to take down a tent trailer and set it back up. If you're like me and just bought a tent trailer and tried to find videos on it, there's absolutely nothing about these older Bonairs, or really anything besides 2000 and newer, which doesn't really apply to these. So, I will give you a little step-by-step on how to do it, and hopefully it'll help you if you run into the same problem I had. Alright, here we go. Okay, so the first things you want to do is when you're collapsing it, do up all your windows, make sure everything's all buttoned up and ready to go. You will turn your table back into a bed. You'll put the cushions down and okay, so got all the windows all done back up here. So what I'm going to do is lift the table up like so, and what you do is you pull down on the leg and it kind of slips down, allows it to pivot, and then gotta watch that edge because it just sits on a metal track. So you pull that down, you put it onto the plastic clips down here, and that's how you make the table into a bed. Okay, once you have the bed down, you can store some stuff under there if you need to. Pivot this down, you just have two hinges there. Just come down in the metal tracks there. Just lower it slowly, use both hands. It is just some screws holding this back plate onto the countertop, I guess. Yeah. Makeshift backsplash. And then another thing, this tent trailer has them. I don't know if they all do, but it's kind of a safety pin. And so you just kind of pull it out, keep it under the bed. There's one on both sides. This just prevents your bed from sliding in. And this side has it as well. They're in there pretty snug, so you have to give them a good pull if you've been using the beds at all, because it kind of slides in. Then after you get that part done, you can come to the outside, just give it a push in a little bit at the bottom. And I find by doing that, it takes some of the tension off of the canvas. And so taking these out becomes a little easier. If you look at this far side, you can see it's a spring-loaded mechanism. And so you have to kind of compress it into the corner and then pull down and out of the little tiny holes that the pin is sitting in. So I'll try to show you that. Definitely a lot easier taking them out than it is putting them back in. But I'll get all four of those, the other three removed, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so as soon as you get these poles pulled out, that whole side just collapses. And you can just store your poles underneath the mattress, just so they're out of sight, out of mind. Okay, now that we're back on the outside, these edges have now collapsed on themselves. You gotta go around and do the zippers from each side. They're old canvas zippers, so they don't like to work. So you go around, get all four of those unzipped. And once you get all of these unzipped, you can go underneath. This one's got a bungee cord. I've seen other ones that have snaps. It really just depends. More often than not, they break, so people end up replacing them anyways. But so you take that up and just kind of tuck it in like so on both sides. Well, all four sides. Okay, so once you get the actual beds pushed in, a little bit closer, but not really the end of the world. Get them all pushed in, and then you can remove the support brackets and store them there. And for anyone who doesn't know, the Bonair tent trailer spare tire is actually located in here. This one's missing, but that's where you would find it. I wasn't sure, and so I looked and looked and looked, and then yeah, so that's the actual storage compartment for it. So if you ever need to find it and you don't know where it is, that's where to start looking. Okay, so if you're trying to push the front bed in and you're having issues, just check to make sure that it went into the track for the back, just to make sure you can slide it in enough, because it will give you that much room, which gives you extra space when you're dropping the top down, so you're not fighting anything. Anybody who hasn't really dwelled with canvas, don't fight it. Anytime you fight it, you'll win, and then you're ending up repairing it, which is always a bit of a process. So once you get that all accomplished, then you got to get out the crank and start to lower it very slowly. Oh, sorry, forgot the door. Show you how to do the door. Okay, so once you get the back bed slid in, you can do the front to a point, but you need to keep it out far enough so you can get the door to pivot up into the roof. So with this one, you have a latch there, and this part's kind of a struggle, so you got to pull this part out. As you'll remember from the installation, you just kind of bend that seam over and then tuck it in to the J channel on both sides. It's kind of the benefit of doing the beds before you try to do this, is it gives you slack. You can kind of pull it, get it started, and once again, you're not having to fight the canvas, because if you fight it, you'll win. And as you can see, there's a couple of repairs that have to be done because, well, somebody fought the canvas. So once that part's done, the easiest thing to do is to close the door, go inside, and lift it up and out of the track. To make it a little easier, you can lift the roof up if you don't have it maxed out all the way, which I suggest not maxing it out, for the simple fact that it stretches the canvas a lot. But once those are out, it allows the door to come in, and then you kind of lift it up and in, and once you swing it up, there's two little locks on either side there. So it holds it up. That piece kind of holds the door shut. It's not the greatest, but it works. It was on it when I got it. I'll probably figure out something better for it, because when that thing comes opening into your head, it hurts. Okay, so after you've done that, you can slide this bed in, and then you can start dropping it. Okay, with this year, which I believe is a 1986 model, the crank is right underneath the door. This is where you put the arm, handle, and you actually insert right there. And this is the lock, so when it's down, it's locked. When it's up, that can drop. So at no point do you want to lock it without this tool in there, or pressure on this, because it's going to start lowering, and if you're not holding this, it's going to start spinning, and if you know what a knuckle buster is, you're going to get one. And so I'll show you. So you want to put some tension on it like you're raising it. Flip the lock. As you can see, it will just start rotating backwards by itself. So you lower it a little bit at a time, checking the edges. Lock it whenever you need to stop. and just kind of make sure your canvas all gets pushed in. Once it gets to a certain level, you'll need to physically just tuck this in so that it can close up properly. So I'll get it all lowered and then show you the next step. Okay, a little tight on this side, but I'll show you. So I lowered it, kept it up about 12 inches, and you slowly just want to work it in. Don't fight it at all. Basically try to push in the center as far as you can, and then the rest will just kind of follow it. And then you take this, you got to try to lift it up and tuck it in. If you can, make it stay. Sometimes you got to drop it a bit more just to get it to stay in, but you need this all tucked in prior to lowering it, or you just end up pinching it between the top and the bottom and end up having to lift it to fix it. So I'll get it all tucked in and get it dropped the rest of the way. Okay, so that's all closed up. So as you lower it down slowly, just keep walking the perimeter, check in, make sure you got your canvas tucked in properly. Don't want to pinch it. If it's hanging out, it's going to get wet, going to get wrecked, possibly ripped. Once it's all the way down, go around, do your clamps. Me personally, when you're doing your clamps up, it's best just to keep this in the unlocked position, because if there's any tension still on the pulley system at all, it'll just back it off. If you have it locked, you might be clamping down and actually fighting your pulleys, which could possibly break them and creating more work. But all in all, it's not too difficult to close down.